Adam sat at a booth in the back of the smoothie shop. It was noon. He had gotten there an hour early, not because he had an overwhelming craving for ice cream, but because he needed some air. He had told his mentor the details of last night, starting with the fact that Kathy was now aware of Hrax's connection to the Ace Gang. As expected, the news had intrigued him, but Adam had been caught off guard when Night Shadow voiced his intention to use Kathy as a way of getting close to Hrax.
Maybe Night Shadow was right. Perhaps manipulating Kathy is the only way to protect her.
He was right. Deep down, Adam knew this, but that didn't make having to hide the truth any less troubling. He sat at the booth for the next hour, silently watching the wind pick up fallen leaves and toss them playfully around in the street until the rustling of a coat jostled him from his thoughts. Looking up, Adam discovered 3 smoothies sitting on the table, and Kathy folding her gloves up in her multicolored scarf. "What's all this?" he asked, gesturing to the desserts.
"Oh, I didn't know what flavor you liked, so I just got choices. I probably should have just asked you. Whichever one we don't drink, I'll take back to my roommate. She's not picky,"
Kathy said as she sat down. Adam grinned.
"What makes you think there will be one left?"
She smiled at the joke. It was a happy smile, much different from the tentative grins she'd shown before. This smile showed the real Kathy, warm and bright. It was a smile he hoped he would see often in the future, from the girl he wished desperately would forgive his betrayal.
"Funny how it's frigid cold outside, but this place is still selling more ice cream than hot chocolate,"
she said, looking around at the other customers.
"That must mean they're good,"
Adam chuckled.
"I could get you hot chocolate if you'd rather have it,"
Kathy said as she surveyed the selection of frozen beverages adorning the table.
"Oh, this looks just fine,"
he said, reaching for what he guessed was a wild berry smoothie.
"By the way, have you given any thought to what I said about the bank robberies?" "It's been hard not to think about it,"
she confessed.
"Especially considering Lawrence Hrax is involved with the Ace Gang. I mean, he was a lousy politician, but I never expected that."
"Are you aware of how he made his millions?" Adam asked as he sipped his drink.
"I assumed he just kept all his financial backing after quitting his campaign."
"He did. But then he gambled it all at a rigged underworld poker tournament that he organized himself. Needless to say, he didn't lose anything."
"That was back when the drug cartel case was blown wide open, right?"
"Yes. Sid Rickety made a deal with the police. He told them everything in exchange for a limited sentence and witness protection."
"Yeah, he risked everything just to get busted for the gambling ring,"
Kathy concluded.
"Are you saying he took the fall for something Hrax organized?"
Adam nodded.
"Why would he do that?"
"People do crazy things when they're scared," Adam said quietly. "Like those bank tellers." He took a folded page out of his jacket pocket and spread it out on the table. Anyone not involved in their conversation would have written it off as nothing more than what it was, a map of the city, but Kathy noticed the hand-drawn circle that connected the city's most prominent banks. Adam pointed to the center of the circle. "Do you know what that building is?" Kathy shook her head.
"An apartment complex?"
"An apartment complex owned and operated by Lawrence Hrax." He took another drink. "Have you heard anything about the Ace Gang being involved in the robberies?"
"Not a day goes by,"
Kathy stated, sounding a little annoyed.
"The thing is, they don't do the stealing, just the laundry. So the police can't do anything unless they find out how they're doing it. They've been pretty hush-hush."
"How is it working with the police?" Adam asked, unable to bait the curiosity.
"A bit frustrating at times,"
she answered.
A lot of them blow off my intel because mostly comes in the form of snippets between the static of their radio signals.
And what about Engelman? The simple question brought about another in response.
How much do you know about me?
Kathy asked, locking her eyes onto his.
Enough to know you're on the right side. But I'm sorry. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable, or like you're at a disadvantage. We're in this together, or at least I'd like us to be.
Her gaze did not waver.
Can I trust you, Adam?
You can, he said, feeling guilt burning inside of him. A silent second passed between them, neither knowing what to say. Kathy absently stirred her smoothie with her straw.
Scott Engelman was the only cop who actually took my radio channels seriously. After a while, I started sending my intel to his radio directly. It took a little digging to figure out his wavelength.
She took a sip.
Not strictly legal, I suppose, but a lot of bad people were arrested, and he got promoted.
Adam smiled.
Does he know about you? My own parents don't know,
Kathy answered.
I think it's safer that way.
Adam nodded. For a moment he found himself thinking of his own parents. What would they do if they knew about this alter ego, about Night Shadow? What would their reaction be to the knowledge that their eldest son was going to betray the hard-gotten trust of the girl sitting across from him? Would they find it cruel and unnecessary? Or would they see it was essential for the greater good?
Brain freeze? What?
The question jostled him out of his thoughts.
Your eyes sort of glazed over for a minute,
Kathy said.
Anyway, you were talking about the bank tellers?
She prompted him back to the main topic of conversation.
Right.
He set aside his almost empty glass in an effort to strengthen the idea of a cold-induced headache being the cause of his strange pause.
The same few bank tellers have been present during each of the robberies. Those same tellers all have a connection to Hrax. Yes,
Kathy said.
I remember you mentioning that. What sort of connection? They worked for him during his campaign,
Adam stated.
I want to know if they're still working for him.
Kathy thought for a moment, letting the new information sink in.
Do you have any idea why Hrax's campaign fell through?
She asked in an attempt to better understand the situation.
We've all heard rumors,
Adam said.
Lying about policies, making false promises, squirreling away most of the fundraising money. But I think, as does my mentor, that Hrax was not only buying votes, but threatening people into voting for him via the use of the Ace Gang. He was close to leading the polls, wasn't he?
Kathy racked her brain.
Why just drop out like he did? Was he caught?
Adam nodded.
That brings us back to Sid Rickety. I think he knew what Hrax was doing and threatened to rat him out. It makes sense. He was planning to get into witness protection for squealing. On the drug cartel, too. So why not toss in a political scandal? Maybe he thought it would lessen his sentence by a few more years. It could have scared him into backing out of his campaign. It also could have incited him to threaten me right back. You're saying you might have scared Rickety into owing him a favor? Exactly. It's possible he knew Rickety was going to the cops about the drugs. I don't know about you, but if I was going to sell out a huge drug operation, I wouldn't want anybody knowing about it until I was in the clear.
Kathy finished her smoothie.
So that explains Rickety. But what about the bank employees? You say they worked on the campaign. Do you think they're being threatened too? Hrax has his hands all over the underground. These tellers may have willingly been in on his schemings the whole time, but it's possible he's got something on each and every one of them. So what do we do?
Adam looked briefly out the window. Guilt furrowed his brow.
Adam?
Kathy prompted, curiosity outweighing patience. Masking his regret, he looked back at her and smiled.
We get proof. If only we knew when they'd strike next.
Well, if I'm right, Adam said, gesturing to the map. They're hitting the banks in a clockwise pattern. The police are either taking their sweet time figuring that out, or they're keeping it out of the media.
Keeping it away from the press is my guess.
Kathy sighed.
They seem to do that a lot.
Can you blame them?
On occasion.
Adam grinned and turned his attention back to the map.
Let's see,
he said.
Have you got a pen by any chance?
Kathy rifled through her purse for a moment before pulling out a section of writing utensils.
You come prepared,
Adam joked as he picked up a red pen and went back to looking at the map.
I guess you've noticed the circle connecting the banks. And the overwhelming fact that Hrax's penthouse is in the middle.
Kathy nodded.
He's got an advantage with that location, that's for sure. But anyway, the last bank to be robbed was East Tree, here.
He drew an X over the bank's location on the map.
A few weeks ago, it was Gaspee Central.
He drew another X.
That leaves Northside Bank, and I have my suspicions he'll be hit early next Wednesday.
That's pretty specific, Kathy said, looking interestedly at the map.
I have my reasons,
Adam said as he pulled another paper from his pocket.
This is the work schedule for all the employees at each bank. See the highlighted names?
Scanning the list, Kathy noticed that roughly a dozen names were highlighted.
All of these people are connected to Hrax?
She said quietly, barely believing it.
Every one,
Adam stated matter-of-factly.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're all involved. I've tried to narrow it down. I could use more time and maybe another pair of eyes, but seeing as Wednesday is only a few days away, what I've got now may be our best chance at thwarting this. See the names with the stars next to them?
He paused for her to nod.
Terry Feynman, Ronald Ishmael, and Nicole Perk. One of those three have been present each time Northside has been robbed in the past 8 years.
He chuckled upon seeing her look of shock.
I know. You would think somebody would have noticed before now.
You would think? Kathy repeated.
But go on. The robberies, as far as I can tell, aren't really on a set schedule, but rather they follow the work schedule of the accomplices. And the pattern of robberies has been going East Tree, Gaspee Central, then Northside. All at sporadic times, but always the same pattern.
For 8 years? Kathy interrupted. Adam nodded.
Possibly longer. I don't really know how deep this goes. What I do know is that Northside should be the next target, and Terry Feynman is working next Wednesday from 6 o'clock to noon.
Kathy smiled.
Very impressive. So all we have to do is tell the police, and when and where, and they can nab these guys.
Adam's pulse quickened. He hadn't expected her to go with such a direct approach. Suggesting she plant a bug on these tellers seemed like an unnecessary risk compared to tipping off the cops. But if Kathy didn't try to place the bugs, if she didn't even go to the bank, how was he supposed to arrange for meeting Hrax? As much as it pained him to admit, Night Shadow was right. The only way to keep Kathy safe, when Hrax inevitably introduced himself, was for he and Night Shadow to arrange every detail of the encounter. He looked across the table. Kathy's impressed look hadn't faded.
To think,
she beamed,
you may have just solved the mystery of a crime wave that has been going on undetected for at least 8 years. When were you thinking of calling in the tip? Well, I was hoping you'd do it. I mean, I'm pretty well known as Phoenix anyway. I'd rather not risk having my voice recognized. One icon accusing another could turn into a pretty nasty media battle. Oh, right. I can do it. I'll just call in with an anonymous tip in the morning. I guess I should keep it sort of vague, like, say, someone coming in next week, instead of between 6 and noon next Wednesday, huh? Yeah, that sounds good, Adam agreed. If you're too specific, it could cause suspicion, or they may not take it seriously. Should I mention Rex? Only if whoever you speak with seems on board. Hrax's high standing makes him an interesting player. The police would be wary of accusing him of littering, let alone larceny. Don't think too hard about it. You'll do fine. To clear his thoughts for a moment, he looked at the third and final smoothie resting on the table. It looked like chocolate. Go ahead, Kathy said, looking from him to the dessert. I did get it for you, after all. Adam took a drink. He was right. It was chocolate. Thanks, he said gratefully. I think I'd rather take this one to go. I've got more research to do on this as well as other things. Thanks for all your help, by the way. Oh, okay, Kathy said, a little sad the conversation was ending. She began putting the pens and pencils back into her purse. Will I see you again? She asked, feeling a bit awkward and cliché. I'll keep in touch. He smiled reassuringly. Well, if it helps, Kathy smiled back. I do have a phone. She scribbled quickly on a napkin and handed it to him. In case of emergency. He pocketed the napkin. Thanks, but I've already got your number. Of course you do. She laughed with mock exasperation. They walked in a pleasant silence to the sidewalk. I'll see you again, Kathy Maple, Adam said as they parted ways. Until then, don't get into any trouble. Kathy smiled as she waved goodbye. No promises. Later, Kathy found a 20 in her pocket and a note. Thanks for the smoothies.